Or the Bruce Lipton.
I'm going to start with whatever one you want.
Yeah, let's start with that.
All right, sounds good. All right. All right, hold on. I'm trying to get the Telegram muted so I can. Oh, here we go. Don't do any feedback. All right. Sorry, folks. We had to get the Facebook and the Telegram going properly. So, all right. Would you like to start and give our viewers an intro on what we're going to be talking about today, just briefly, before we start playing the pre-recorded content?
Well, this week was my daughter's birthday. You know, it was her sweet 16, and it really made me feel like some kind of way. You know, I really was having a rough time with it. So I thought we'd get on and just kind of talk about like what kind of trauma, you know, that parents go through when they're being cut out of their child's life. But I wanted to start off with this Bruce Lipton video and the way he talks about the conscious mind and what, you know, basically how the courts are using what they do as a weapon, like psychologically to, you know, to the parents and the kids. So you ready to play that video?
Bringing it up right now for our viewers.
Okay.
1 second.
Were you having difficulties? I can't hear
No,
you.
I just had to bring it up, like put it in the playlist so that one plays after the other.
Okay.
Oh shit. I'm having issues with my screen share. Oh crap.
Is it freezing?
No, I fucking changed my settings on. It's like blinking. I don't know what the fuck it's doing. All right, hold on. Can you share it from your end? You got the videos, right? On Drive?
I don't know. Is that where you sent them to?
I sent them to Google Drive. I said Google Drive links, yeah. They should be in Signal. My shit's not wanting to share right. It keeps blinking in and out. I only happened after I changed my freaking graphics settings. Why is it doing that? I haven't figured out what's causing it.
All right,
Oh wait, no, don't do it again. Damn it. All right, hold up. I'm gonna have to have you share because it's not working on mine. It's giving me shit.
Okay, hold on. Let me find them. They're in my Drive, or are they on Signal?
They're on. The links are on the on Signal.
Oh.
I sent you the link. The Google Drive links on Signal. After each YouTube link you sent me, I sent you the corresponding Drive link that I after uploading it. It should be the second to the. Oh wait, did I give you that last one? No, I didn't think I did upload that last one. Crap.
I got one here. Let's see. Okay, so this might be the other video.
All right, hold on. I gotta upload. Yeah, we're gonna have to. Yeah, I did not upload that one. I forgot to.
Okay, so this guy talks about parent alienation in like the family court. This is a different video. It's pretty.
We'll play that other one next. It should be done by the time this is finished, you guys.
Hi, Patrick, Walk for Lost Kids. I want to start by saying my thoughts are with all the parents and kids that are out there that are forcibly being separated from one another. The problem is
It won't let you full
not
screen it?
truly just
Oh, nice.
parental
Maybe
alienation
that's as big as it gets.
or the court
Or
system.
maybe not.
The true problem is a very tightly married, if you excuse the pun, series of problems between parental alienation and the court system, and the fact that a large number of people just don't see how these things progress. And I kind of feel like part of my role in keeping the ball rolling and trying to get some reform change is to educate the people that are out there, either within divorce reform or just the population as a whole, as to how this is occurring, why it's occurring, and the fact that these people that are complaining about how horrendous the situation is, they're not just crying the blues as, you know, some freak divorce situation. This is actually an epidemic. It's taking place in great numbers, to thousands of people, thousands of kids being separated from their parents. And it's just a question of when the media and the law system will actually catch up with what's going on. So I've produced this video, which I hope will help educate people as to the things that are occurring, and I hope you take a few minutes to look at it and share it around, and hopefully we can get some changes made. Thanks.
To begin, the courts have large financial incentives to have unequal custody scenarios. So an unequal custody scenario is immediately going to create more conflict, pressure for fighting for the majority of custody, temptation to alienate the children, and a justified mistrust of the family courts. Phase 2 is advantage alienator. Alienators have a lot of advantages in the court system, and the courts actually favor the alienator. I'm not going to go into a lot of length at this point to discuss the personality types of an alien. Charming people that play the victim well, and they're willing to put a lot of money into the lawyers to win a court case. The second part, which is a little bit more obscure, is the alienator is actually favored by the kids. This is how this happens. Children do not want to be in marital conflict. And anytime that they feel that they're in the middle of conflict, they are going to be stressed and are going to do whatever they can to get out of that scenario. They care about both parents, they want to be in the lives of both parents, and they don't want to be put in the middle. Now, an alienator is very willing to put the child in the middle in order to stress the child out so that the alienator can dominate in the relationship with the other parent. The problem from the child's point of view is escaping the conflict. Even when the child is in the other parent's household with the parent who isn't creating an alienation problem, the alienator, through texting, through phone calls, through interrogation when the child gets back, can keep that same level of stress on that child even when the child is away. And so the child comes to understand that the marital conflict is a function of being with the other parent. And over time, that child's desire to be out of the stressful marital conflict makes the child prefer the alienator and, in very many cases, the abusive parent. And as a direct result of that, because the way the system is set up, the alienator will get additional custody and additional funding for being able to increase the child's desire to be with the alienator. Now, it's important to point out that the conflict that this child is trying to avoid can be created by only one parent. It is seen as conflict between two parents, but it can be created by only one parent. And in many cases, that conflict is then associated with the other parent. And with very little coaching, the child can then vocalize that the other parent is the problem, because the child has come to see that feeling horrible about this marital conflict is only relieved when the child is with the alienator. So now we're to phase 3, the crushing of one of the parents. The alienator has used the court system. They've convinced the child that the other parent is the problem, and the other parent is crushed. The increased separation from the kids causes stress, anger, and depression. The child support demands that are currently on the parent are unrealistic and drive the parent into poverty in many cases. The winning parent is permitted to continually use the legal system to pummel the losing parent in court. And losing parents who don't simply go along with this entire process are deemed uncooperative by child support and the court system in general. So what are the final outcomes? The final outcomes, like courts are set up, is for there to be a winner and there to be a loser. And in many cases within the divorce court system, the outcome is the complete elimination of a parent in the child's life, parents that are driven so low into poverty or depression that they no longer can maintain a household suitable to even parent, parents incapable of escaping the mounting child support debt, and in a lot of cases that are televised, that are shown in the media, these things end in suicides, murders, child support incarcerations, and a whole host of child of divorce issues like drug overdose, teen pregnancy, teen suicide. And then, of course, the ultimate outcome is completing the cycle. The child grows up learning the system, learning to become an alienator, and learning that using a combination of courts and parental alienation, he or she can crush people in order to make money.
Now again, because the problems we're looking at here are so complex, it's going to take a while for this all to get fixed. And to oversimplify exactly what needs to be fixed is not a simple task. But if we could fix one thing, just make one change that would make a heck of a lot of difference in a lot of these cases, that would be shared parenting. If we can just get on the books a simple law that forces the hands of the courts to say, hey, if there's not abuse going on here, then the custody needs to be split 50-50. That's it. We need those laws in place to force that the judges make that decision out of the gate, and that the judges aren't willy-nilly bouncing custody around because they have that power to do so. So I encourage you to sign petitions for shared parenting bills and to come out and vote when we can finally get these things on the ballots. Thank you very much, and keep hanging in there. There's always hope. Thanks. Bye.
I gotta say that, you know, it really is like that, that this week I experienced quite a bit of those kind of emotions, you know, like I struggled on her birthday.
Want to come on camera? Dottie, for our
Okay.
viewers.
Sorry. They come on, yeah. So it was, really tough. It was her 16th birthday, and I kept thinking about how that was just taken away from me, like that I'm not gonna be there for those moments, like those certain moments, like her 16th birthday, and then her high school graduation, and like those are the moments that I never thought about ever not being at, like that never crossed my mind. You know what I mean? Like when I had Delilah, I didn't think about that. Like, I don't know, Q, you're not a parent, so you don't, but I guess you can understand.
I can understand from having nephews and nieces, from that angle. I mean, I'm not a father yet, but I totally can relate from that perspective, from caring about them and because they are my family. Like I kind of consider them preparation to become a father.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's just something you don't think about. So like, for the most part, I deal pretty well with the whole situation, but it really hit me hard. And I just was thinking about, like, how are these people just taking away someone's motherhood? Like, how do they get to do that? Like, I brought her into this world to guide her. That was, it's my job. I'm supposed to keep her safe. And, they showed Delilah that I couldn't keep her safe that day in the courtroom, when they took her. I don't know, just, it's really crazy. So there was another video that I wanted to play. Give me a second.
You got the other links I sent you in the signal, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The other video, what was it? It was the 11 traits, like to signs of like parent alienation. And these videos I found, to be in this situation, like we're pretty much, right on the money with things. Like that, the way they would just demolish the parent. It is really like that. I mean, they don't stop.
And I can attest to that. I've seen that with multiple of these cases, from many different cases. They use the same tactics, folks, and they don't stop. They are relentless. They keep at it and keep at it until the parents give up. They basically drain them dry and take away their will to fight. Basically, is what they do, is they break you down psychologically until you say, all right, you throw your hands up in the air and you give up, and you just succumb to whatever it is they want you to do.
It does lead a lot of parents to suicide. You hear about it all the time. I think I read online today, or yesterday, that there was another parent that took their life here recently. I'm not sure when or who the parent was. They didn't say in the post I read, but that's what I heard, read.
Was that other video you sent in the Zoom chat? Was that the?
I got it. It's this one right here.
Was that the fifth one you wanted to do? You're talking about the
There
other
are
one?
many false beliefs and misunderstandings about parental alienation. This video will examine 10 as presented by Dr. Richard Warshak. Number 1. Children never unreasonably reject the parent with whom they spend the most time. While it may seem reasonable that a parent who spends the most time with the child is protected from alienation, this is not consistent with research or clinical experience. Number 2. Children never unreasonably reject mothers. This suggests that anytime a child rejects a mother, it must be the mother's fault. Not only does this belief harm mothers who have been alienated from their children, but it's not consistent with research and clinical experience. Number 3. Each parent contributes equally to a child's alienation. A therapist might wrongly think, when both parents are mad at me, I did a good job. This belief can make professionals feel that they are being fair and unbiased, but this idea is not consistent with research and clinical experience. Number 4. Alienation is a child's transient, short-lived response to the parent's separation. There are 2 problems with this idea. The first is that alienated children don't always see the light and reestablish a relationship with rejected parent. And the second is that any exposure to parental alienation strategies can be harmful to children. Number 5, rejecting a parent is a short-term, healthy coping mechanism. There's no evidence that allowing a child to reject a parent is helpful, and there's plenty of evidence that the alienation can become entrenched over time and even worsen if not addressed. Also, some alienated children admit later that they wanted the rejected parent to keep fighting for them. Number 6, young children living with an alienating parent need no intervention. It's actually the case that rapid intervention with alienation at the beginning is better, more effective, and less invasive than waiting until the problem has progressed and everyone has dug their heels in. Number 7, alienated adolescents' stated preferences should dominate custody decisions. All best interests of the child laws allow for a child's preference once the child is of a certain age to be a factor when judges make custody decisions. However, despite having more advanced cognitive capacities compared to younger children, teens are still susceptible to undue influence and impulsivity.
Think peer pressure.
The truth is, most states include other factors such as quality of parenting and continuity of schooling, which should not be overlooked even when the child is a teenager. Number 8, children who appear to function well outside the family need no intervention. Irrationally rejecting a parent is an important psychological concern that shouldn't be overlooked no matter how well the child is doing academically, socially, or otherwise. No one would say that a child who is suicidal, for example, but doing well in school shouldn't be treated. Number 9, severely alienated children are best treated with traditional therapy techniques while living primarily with their favored parent. There are many reasons why traditional therapy doesn't work with alienated children, including that the favored parent can interfere with the treatment. Number 10, separating children from an alienating parent is traumatic. No peer review study has documented harm to severely alienated children from the reversal of custody. Reliance on these false beliefs harm children and families by supporting choices that are unlikely to address the underlying problem. Written by the Parental Alienation Study Group and produced by the Law Center. Click the link below to learn more about their work.
Nice. You got the last one I said, right?
Yeah, the courts know they're doing this to families and
They're doing it intentionally, people.
Yeah,
their actions speak volumes to that.
There are many false beliefs
and so does the evidence.
Right, because they have been doing it for so long, and they've been destroying these families, and it just creates money for them, like the power, the money, because it's true. Like in the other video, they said that the alienating parent will, spend as much money as needed basically to destroy the other parent. And I know that in my case, that was true. That was true to be,
I want to just briefly touch on, yesterday I went to a Clark County school board trustee meeting, one of the school board meetings they have with the trustees for a buddy of mine, and he's going through, he was pointing out some racketeering going on that front. And so I think that's an angle we're missing here, because most people don't realize is the number one place that CPS gets kids is for outside the home is fucking schools. Okay.
Yes.
And they are also racketeering in these schools. They're getting funds for services that are never being rendered. One, okay, my buddy's son has never been given for the proper the help that he needs. He's in, he's an IEP student. He's special education. He needs to have proper special help with that. But you know what they did? They went and passed him anyway, because they're so desperate to make themselves look good, and they're fraudulently doing this, you guys. And that's here in my local community. So if they're doing it in the schools, and they're doing it in the courts, and they're doing it in the Department of Health and Human Services, you can bet they're fucking colluding, period. Well, and we'll be posting some of the videos from yesterday's board meeting on politicallyincorrectness.com, which is our sister site to News for Us.
It goes to the whole fact that they're trying to destroy the family unit. They've been doing it in every other aspect they can. They want to, they want us dead. They really do.
Yeah, they do. They want us dead. They think they're better than us.
That video is not letting me download it.
Oh, it's all right. I can do it. Hopefully it won't cut out on the stream, but we'll see. I hope you don't get the blinking on your end, but we'll try it.
So this is Bruce Lipton. He explains about the consciousness and the cells and the programming of the subconscious mind.
Is it cutting out back and forth like that? You see a blinking going on?
No, is this that video of Dee that?
No. I added that to the playlist, but I didn't know. Is it
Okay.
blinking? Is it blinking out on your end or no?
It looks frozen.
Oh shit, my settings are fucking me up. Oh crap, that's not gonna work. Just play it from YouTube. Oh my God, what the fuck? My graphics card, because I set my settings to let the application decide how to manage the settings, because I shared, it's interfering with my screen share. I have to change it back. I don't even remember how I fucking did it, but it just changed my screen size to a really low resolution.
What?
It just changed it changed my screen size, my resolution when I tried to share just now. So that's got to be what it is, because I had set a setting in my. Oh, Jesus Christ, that was way too freaking small. Why in the hell I'm never going to let NVIDIA decide what to do with my freaking video settings ever again. Play it from YouTube. You have the YouTube link, right?
No.
Here,
I don't know. It's trying to pull up now.
Okay.
Did Monarch get on his? Did I see his name?
Yeah, he is on here.
Oh,
It's in the Zoom chat, actually. You sent it there earlier.
Bruce Lipton.
Yeah. Here, I'll send it again. There you go.
I don't know. Now my computer is going slow. Like something's wrong with it.
I've been getting paid $1,000 a month, if not more, just from this app on my phone. And I don't know if you can see this, but it's called Audible. Okay, so I'm going to show you right here. I have a check from Audible.
Skip
This
that
is
if
for
it'll let you.
$1,100. This one's for $1,100 again, and then this one.
Sorry about the delay, folks. We're having technical difficulties over here. They don't want us getting the message out. There we go.
We've been programmed with a belief that if you have a good life and you die, you get a chance to go to heaven, which is what? Heaven is anybody's individual thing. I talk to you, you give me your definition of heaven, you listen to my definition, you listen to somebody else. They're all different. We all have creative vision. So heaven is a creative place. And I go, so what's relevant? And I go, once I started to understand this stuff. First of all, I never believed in spirituality. The science revealed using quantum physics and epigenetics that we are a field, an energy field playing through this body. What I learned through this is, first of all, there's no such thing as death of who we are. There's death of the body. But the body is like a virtual reality soup, that an energy field that is different for each one of us is operating in this body. My self receptors on my cells, which distinguish me as being different from you, respond to a different environmental signal than your self receptor. So each of us is receiving like a broadcast that is running this biology. Consciousness is running the biology. Consciousness isn't physical, it's an energy. And I go, why is it relevant? Because the answer was this: the belief that if you do really well and you persevere, and when you die, you're going to go to this place called heaven. And I go, consider this, that we were born into heaven. that we came here to create. That's what we're doing. We're creating. And I say, when we're creating it right, heaven on earth is here. When we're creating it wrong, struggle is here. And all of a sudden I say, oh my God, don't wait till you die that you're going to go to heaven. This is it. This is where you came to create. What do you want to create? Love? Coronavirus? You can create a damn thing you want. This is creation place. But if you don't know that your creations are being controlled, then we become a victim of a world out of control. And yet we were the creators. We gave in to other people's beliefs. And then we now are creating not with our wishes and desires, we're creating with the program. Where's the program taking us right now? And the answer is fear, shutdown, loss of community, breakdown of the system. I go, we can learn or not. That's it. And this is a learning moment. Take your power back. You are beyond, power-wise, beyond any virus that ever existed. You are very powerful.
Every human, and this is a fact, every human first 7 years is download a hypnosis. The brain of a child under 7 is in a lower vibrational frequency. When you put wires on a person's head, you read electroencephalograph, reading brain activity. A child below 7 has a lower vibration than consciousness. It's called theta. Theta is imagination. Oh, that's how kids play a tea party with mud pies, but to them it's a real thing. A kid rides a broom, it's a horse. That's theta, imagination. Theta is also hypnosis. And the idea is this: before you can become conscious, if you don't have any programs, what are you going to be conscious of? So nature makes the first 7 years. What kind of programs are required to live on this planet? I say, how do you get them? Theta is hypnosis. You just watch. You watch your parents, you watch your siblings, and your community, because you have to learn how many 100,000 rules. Think about it. Just to be a functional member of a family and a functional member of a community, there are rules. Teach an infant these rules. I say, oh, you don't have to. First 7 years, they observe it and just download it. Look, this is not new. I mean, there's the famous book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And basically said, you come from a poor family and you could struggle your whole life and try to get rich, but you're not going to make it. And if you come from a rich family, you could be stupid your whole life and make it. Not because it was thinking, but it was unconscious behavior that was downloaded from rich families into kids, which is unconscious. So they're making the right moves unconsciously. If they engage their conscious mind, then they look stupid, but it's unconscious. And that's the same thing with poor people. Poor people have beliefs from the family. Oh, you can't make it, life's a struggle, things are hard, who do you think you are? And if that's the program you get, then 95% of the day you will sabotage yourself. And that's why poor people stay poor and rich people stay rich, because the programming. 95% of our life, this is a fact, comes from those programs in the subconscious. Every day, only about 5% of their life are you using conscious, which is creative. 5%.
So your life is being lived, even though you think you're living your life.
Exactly, and you don't see it because it's called subconscious, below conscious. And the Jesuits, for 400 years, they were boasting. People didn't understand. They say, give me a child until it's 7 and I will show you the man. They've been saying that for 400 years because they knew 7 years was the program period. And 95% of your life after that will be whatever that program is. Your life is a printout of your subconscious behavior. Oh, so you don't have to try and think about what happened. I just say, look at your life. The things you like that come into your life come in because you have a program that supports them. But anything you struggle with, work hard at, put a lot of effort into making it happen, why you're working so hard, inevitably you have a program that doesn't support that conclusion and you're trying to override the program. So you don't need to do a lot of shrink and psychology stuff. You just look at your life and say, where am I struggling? Because wherever you're struggling, inevitably it's a program in your subconscious that does not support that destination you've been looking for. The conscious mind is creative and can learn in any number of ways. Read a self-help book, go to a lecture, listen to this program, and conscious mind's going to get some awareness. And I go, yeah, but subconscious mind doesn't learn that way. I go, right, it doesn't. Subconscious mind learns in 2 fundamental ways naturally. Hypnosis, which is the first 7 years. And after age 7, how do you put new programs in? Repetition. Practice. You want to drive a car, you didn't learn how by just getting in the seat and put the key in. You had to practice driving the car. You want to learn the alphabet. How many times did you go from A to Z? Try to go to A to Z before you can complete it. And once you completed it, you didn't have to go back and do it again. So 2 phases. You want to train the subconscious mind. Hypnosis, repetition. I like the last one because there's a new phrase that's bandied about called fake it till you make it. Meaning, if you're not a happy person, I say, you want to be a happy person? Then repeat all the time, I'm happy, I'm happy. I say, well, you don't look happy or anything. You say, no, who am I talking to? By repetition, I'm talking to subconscious. Okay. If subconscious gets, I am happy.
Helen Hansel was able to win any competition she took part in. She was known as the contest queen because
Skip ads.
And 95% of your life comes from that subconscious. There will be a point once the subconscious got, I am happy, you don't have to say it again.
Okay.
It'll be automatic.
And that's why we see people do affirmations and gratitude journals and stuff, because if you do that daily.
It's repetitive. That's the secret part. Putting a sticky note on the refrigerator is more like a suggestion, but it's not a repetition. So it doesn't work very well. But you have to do, repetition is a habit. It's making habit. So you got to do something religiously in the sense of repeating it to make it work. If you don't like the program, you don't like the way it's turning out, well then you can reprogram it. And you could get the things you want. The movie The Matrix is not science fiction. It's a documentary. This is the whole story of The Matrix. Matrix, you've been programmed? Oh, we're going to take a red pill and get out of the program, okay? Falling in love is the equivalent of taking the red pill biologically. Scientists have studied what is called mind wandering. I said, what is mind wandering? I said, well, your conscious mind could be focused on a task, or your conscious mind could go off into think about things, okay? And the relevance about that is when the conscious mind is staying in the front, you're in absolute control. Wishes, desires, what you want, conscious mind, creative, you're in control. But the moment your conscious mind takes off into a thought or starts thinking or whatever going on, it lets go of the wheel, the autopilot takes over, okay? So the idea is this: if your mind is wandering, then you're being run by the subconscious. And it turns out this is very negative. When your mind is straightforward in consciousness, you're controlling the vehicle. So I say, falling in love has been demonstrated biologically to be equivalent to the red pill because what it does is it keeps you, what do they call, mindful, keeps you conscious. Look, you've been looking for this partner your whole life. They're now in front of your face. This is not the time to go thinking about things. It's time to be, oh, look what I got right here in front of me. And I say, well, think about it this way. Your life could suck every day, and then you meet this person, and 24 hours later, it's heaven on earth. 24 hours later, oh my God, I'm so in love, even the job's not so bad anymore, and the food tastes great, and the music is so much better, and love. I go, what the heck happened? You had all of this negative, and then in 24 hours, you have this heaven on earth. And the answer was, it was taking the red pill. That's what falling in love is. At that moment, you stop playing the program. Now you're operating from conscious mind, which is creative, which by definition is wishes and desires. What the heck do you want from your life? If you answer that question, it's a creative answer, and by definition, it's conscious. So your wishes and desires are in your conscious mind. In a normal person's life, 5% of the day, you're moving toward that. 95% you're playing the program. You fall in love, 100, it was actually 90%, I think is the number, 90% from conscious mind. 90% of the day you are now operating from creative wishes and desires. I go, look, I said your life sucked all the way up, and then 24 hours of operating on wishes and desires and not playing the program turned earth into heaven for you at that moment. And then you go, well, how come the honeymoon doesn't last? I go, because inevitably you still have to think about things, your job, your chores, your requirements, what you have to do. And at some point, once you start thinking, then the conscious mind is shut off. And guess what shows up? All those behaviors in the subconscious mind that were negative, 70%. And your partner, remember, your partner and you fall in love same time, both of you operating from conscious mind with wishes and desires. And all of a sudden, you start thinking, and then this behavior shows up that was your mother, your father, whatever thing you learned. And your partner is like, where the hell did that come from? Who are you? is a response. It's like, where did that come from? We've been in this honeymoon. I've never seen that behavior. If you would have played that behavior on the first date, maybe we wouldn't have a second date, but now it shows up. And I say, why did it show up? Because I stopped being mindful.
Okay. So how do you teach people to keep the honeymoon alive?
Is to change the subconscious program. and it's simple for reasoning is simple. Conscious mind, wishes and desires. Subconscious mind, program. Well, what if you took the wishes and desires and made those programs? Then guess what? You don't even have to think about it. You will automatically, 95% of the day, be playing behaviors to manifest those wishes and desires. Okay. So reprogramming the subconscious with wishes and desires means you don't even have to think about it. So when you fall in love, the cocktail of chemicals coming out of your brain are things that enhance your vitality, your life, make you healthier, happier, and joy. I go, the same person, if they open their eyes and see something that scares them, none of those love chemicals are going to come out of the brain. At that moment, stress hormones and inflammatory agents are going to be released by the brain. All of a sudden I say, well, then you change the chemical composition of the culture medium. I go, yeah. Result? The composition of the culture medium controlled the fate of the cells. The composition of your blood controls the fate of your cells. The composition of your blood based on the picture in your mind. Change the picture, you change the chemistry.
Almost everybody has the same wishes and desires. To be in love, to be happy, to be healthy, to be peaceful. That's a standard wish and desire of everybody. And if we all lived with those wishes and desires, this planet would change overnight. We would have harmony. We would have peace. We would have nature, community, environment. But until we change those subconscious programs, then we become victims of the program and not creators of our life. And when this is understood, then people could say, wait, I have a choice. I say, you do. You can play the programs you're playing, or you can rewrite those programs and take power back. And that's our destination.
Hi, I'm Bruce Lipton, author of the best-selling books of Biology,
That's such a
Belief,
great quote, too.
Spontaneous Evolution, and the Honeymoon Effect. You know that knowledge is power, but more importantly, a lack of knowledge is a lack of power. And science is revealing a whole new understanding of who we are. We've been programmed to be victims, and yet science and quantum physics and the new science of epigenetics especially reveal that we're not victims, but we are creators. So with the knowledge of the new science, we can manifest heaven on earth. That would be our way of life. And in this regard, while I talk about this a lot, there's an idea that pictures present 1,000 words, and an animation actually represents millions of words. And that's why I'm so excited and in gratitude to After School, because After School has taken the complexity of the words and made it in the simplicity of the images. And that's how we can learn. More knowledge, more power. I hope this presentation enhances the quality and character of your life.
I'm going to put my 2 cents in on that real quick. I have something important to say I want to touch on about what he just talked about that's really important. I think everybody should hear. So I want to okay, so what he's basically saying, what he's getting at here, folks, is we create our reality through our emotions, our experience, our upbringing, what we're taught, and what we're programmed with, so to speak. But what people don't realize is what we experience as reality is not happening externally. It's happening internally, and we're experiencing it as a reflection of our internal expectations and beliefs and about reality. And so, and one important thing to note is people should never give a shit what other people think. Okay, follow your heart. Don't ever, ultimately, does it really matter what people that are not close to you think? Does it really matter? Are you going to let it get to you on that level? Are you going to let it gaslight you? Are you going to let it bother you? Ultimately, what it comes down to is it's each individual's choice and responsibility to not let that stuff get to them. That's a choice, okay? And most people don't realize that we get emotionally triggered by situations or things that happen that we are taken out of context, and we jump the gun before thinking things through rationally. It's important that we take a step back before we react and think things through and follow through, and does it make sense, and I think that's a key component of becoming consciously aware of how you can begin to change your reality in the way that he talked about, as well as understanding that your perception is also a choice. How you choose to look at any given situation, you can choose to look at it in a positive light, aka silver lining, or in a grim light, aka dystopia. But that's a choice too, but most people are reacting to their experience. They're not actively creating it by thinking on that level. And then that's something that if you start doing that, you're going to find that you're going to be able to create and manifest your reality a lot more easily when you become consciously aware of those two principles. Anyways, I'm done. Sorry.
But they are great principles. And it's great knowledge to have, because that is the stuff that has gotten me through all this craziness with the courts. I try to stay conscious in my conscious mind to the here and now, and not let all that trauma get into my conscious, like take over in the subconscious programming. Because you got to think these courts are taking our kids at these young ages, and so they're getting all this programming of trauma. So they're going to, subconsciously just react or act in that way.
Exactly. Yes. And they won't even realize it.
They know this about the conscious, the subconscious and conscious mind. They know exactly what they're doing, and it is really to harm us and, to harm, our children and to make
it
money.
Is. It really is. It is. They know what they're doing, you guys. They're not, it's not a situation like the left hand doesn't know what the right hand doing. They're colluding to kidnap and take people's kids unlawfully for grant money from the federal government. That is what they are doing. They are racketeering illegally.
And then pump the younger kids with all this negative programming, because that's all they're going to get from that age. They're in that theta up until the age of 7. So that's all being programmed.
They're fucking up our kids mentally and permanently and making money doing it. You guys, doesn't that piss you off? It pisses me the fuck off. Excuse my language, but it does.
Because those first 2 videos, those were all those emotions I was feeling, like in the beginning of the week when it was my daughter's birthday. I was feeling, just really down. It was really it was bothering me. And, like those things that they said about how easy it is eventually for the kid to turn on you and, crush you. Like that's all happened in my case. Like all of it. I mean, it's a playbook, and I've experienced all those different emotions and all those different scenarios with my child. And you never think that that's what would be happening or you'd be dealing with. Right. And you have to stay in the conscious mind to keep going, or it's going to take you down if you let that stuff creep in, because now you're living in fear, and like they say, or, in darker, thoughts, and that's going to create your reality outside of you, so now you're just going to be living in this world of just darkness. And we can't do that if we're wanting to shine the light on this and like try to change it. We have to stay consciously in our conscious mind to keep moving and creating, because we create that way. And so we have to change, we have to create a better future, right?
We do. We absolutely do. We have to create a better future. Because the one that these bastards are creating for us now is it's not going to fly in my book. No, I'm not going to stand by and not do something about it.
No, like it really made me mad this week. It's like realizing that what they've taken from me that I can't get back. And it really just kind of put fire more under my ass.
Come on camera for our viewers, Dottie. I want them to see the emotion in your expression when you're talking about this.
It just kind of put the fire under my ass. Like, I'm not going to allow this to happen. Like, I'm not going to be like a victim to some crap that they're doing, because I'm consciously aware of what they're doing. So, more people need to come into that space so they can stay conscious, and, we can start fighting better for our children. Because I think there's a lot more that we can do collectively, to combat this. And I'm not talking like legislation and whatever.
Because what they're doing is beyond criminal.
Like the collective consciousness together collectively with our thoughts to make, you know, heaven on earth, basically. And I think we could collectively do a lot more in that aspect with
I
it.
think so too. Because people don't realize beliefs are powerful things. You know, our beliefs about our reality are what create our reality, and we don't even realize that that's what's happening. We a lot of people, you know, were taught and brought up that, oh, this everything that's happening around us is external and separate from us, but it's not. It's not, because ultimately how you look at a situation or choose to look at a given situation is a choice. And when you have that epiphany and that realization, then you can begin to, you know, take a, you know, be more objective about your experience and not reactive emotionally speaking. Because when you're reactive, especially fear-based emotion, like you know, anger, hate, rage, fear, those are lower vibrational emotions that will keep you in that state. And what happens, what people don't realize, is the critical part of the mind, the objective, rational part of the mind, is paralyzed when in that emotional state, in those lower emotional states of fear, anger, rage, and hate. And so when you're stuck in that, you can't grow and you can't move past it.
Yeah, you can't
And
learn.
they do that intentionally, but they do that with the mainstream media is doing that every freaking day, all sides. I'm not, you know, no, I mean, you know, don't get me wrong, I reference Fox News from time to time, but there's still controlled opposition. I mean, Operation Mockingbird is still in effect, people. I mean, it's pretty freaking obvious at this point. So they're doing it. These court systems are freaking doing it to the kids. You know, what are we gonna fucking do about it? I'm sick of hearing, you know, everybody wants to get, you know, but we know what, we have the power right here, right now to stop these bastards. We just need to stop being apathetic, and we need to show the fuck up to these corrupt court hearings and stand up for these fucking victims. Because this is never going to stop until we do this in mass.
I agree with you. We're the only ones that can stop it. There's nobody else to stop it. It's our children, you know, nobody else. Well, we can only stop it. You know, somebody can't come in and stop it. It doesn't work that way. And
yeah, it doesn't work that way. Nobody's going to come to save you guys. Okay, we're going to have to save ourselves here.
well,
There is no savior coming. We have to become our own saviors and do the work to get done what we have to do.
But I also realized that the only way out of this is to end child trafficking, because this is child trafficking.
It is. It absolutely is.
Out of it is to completely abolish it. Like, we have to end it, or this will be a repeating cycle.
It will. We can never allow one more child ever, period, in the history of we can no longer allow this to occur on our freaking world by these freaking subhuman motherfuckers that operate in the fucking shadows and sell kids and fucking do all sorts of evil shit and then they want to pretend like they have the right to be in the positions of power that they are. No, they lost that freaking right the moment they freaking violated the law and everybody's rights and everybody's sovereignty. And they have to be held accountable, period.
Well, you know, the rule of law, it should apply to everybody equally, but it doesn't, you know. So people because they're profiting off, you know, harming humans, they're profiting from it, you know.
Yeah.
So it's not equal. The law is not equal to people that are less fortunate.
It's not equal at all. It's not. It's truly not. It's just another version of what we had go on, before we, the United States was founded. Why they were our founding fathers come here, because they were facing that same kind of oppression, and here we are again facing it all over. Except this time it's not government; it's fucking corporate interests pulling the strings of government.
A business.
Anyways, sorry, but I had to fucking get that off my chest, because that's what's going on, and I see it clear as day. I hope everybody else does. But what are we going to do about it?
Yeah, exactly. But that's the kind of roller coaster my week was. It was this kind of roller coaster with the emotions because of the court. The court, nobody should go into court and their life be destroyed. Like, and then
no, never
go like out of their way to destroy your life. I mean, because just think about how many people are in your case that are going beyond, anything that they should, just to ruin your family, your life, everything, your career, because it'll beat you down to where you barely can function. When they take your kid and you like for me, I haven't spoken to my kid over 500 and something days. It wears on you, and it tears you down, and it makes life hard. It makes it really hard because you are stuck in it. Like, you relive it every day. It doesn't just go away.
No,
you
of course not.
you don't get to move on. There's no moving on from it.
And there's no closure either.
Well, and that's why you can't move on, because there's
Right.
no closure. When you just get your child taken and you don't know if they're okay, or, if they're anything, like if they're sleeping, with covers in a home, or if they're on the street, you don't know. For me, I have no idea what's going on with my daughter. I have no clue. I know she is supposed to be in Montana. She's, but she's supposed to be going to school, but she had like 80 something missed days of school. So where's she been? I don't know, and then.
Right. It makes you wonder. I mean, and when they're trying to come at you and claim that you're the one that we're that they're trying to, like, all the shit that they're guilty of doing. Like, like they not too long ago trying to say that she missed days of school when she was in your custody. Or didn't they try to use that play at one time? And then now she's got 80 missed days at this other supposed school she's at in Montana. But
they say nothing. But the guy said.
But they overlook all that. They ignore that evidence, of course.
They said that just because a kid might be doing, because she was getting good grades, just because they're doing good in school, that the alienated child, the symptoms and the signs, it's not like normal. So they can be doing that, but doesn't mean that they're not being alienated. So, kids can be in school and have good grades and do good things and still be going through all of this, because they were saying that you can't get them the same kind of counseling. It's different kind of counseling, which I can understand, because it is traumatic when you get ripped from your mom, or your child gets ripped from you. It's traumatic. Like, children base their relationships off that relationship with their mother. Their mother is the relationship, the basis of all relationships for, a child all through life. Mm-hmm. So if you destroy that or take that, you're making that foundation not sturdy for that child. I mean, you're giving them a shit sandwich and telling them it's not a shit sandwich.
Exactly. That's exactly what they're doing. They're doing it intentionally. They know what they're doing to these kids. They're counting on this psychological damage so they can further perpetuate this down the line in further generations. Well, so that's what they're counting on.
Nothing and be happy. So it's all about,
you will own nothing and be happy. Yeah, fuck you, Klaus Schwab.
Yeah. Like, these people that are doing it, it's crazy, because like I've been looking at some stuff, and there's been quite a few of the GALs that were on the leak Zoom call out of St. Louis that have been nominated for judges. Like, they're all getting these judges. Why?
They're getting rewarded for this complicity, it looks like.
Why?
And there's no accountability. Nobody's being held accountable in the whole freaking court system, you guys. Even after that leak Zoom call, how come nobody's doing anything? How come there's no freaking criminal charges coming after these bastards?
Okay, but I have another question. That's a great question. Okay, so in Missouri, what they say, almost 1,000 kids come up missing recently in CPS. Where are these kids' photos, these kids' information? Why are they not posting those up? So we're looking for these children. Why is nobody looking for them? Why do we not know who they are? Why has none of their families spoke out about these missing children? That's a problem.
It is a problem.
Why is it so silent on that situation and that topic? Why are these kids not being searched for?
It would make sense if those were the ones that they were sex trafficking. That would be the only reason I could think that they would omit those from the records.
Oh, do they do that?
I don't know. I sure wouldn't put it past them, considering what they're already doing.
Right. No, we know what they're doing. So people in Missouri, they need to start standing up and demanding, like, these kids be looked for.
Yeah.
Why?
Definitely. How many? What was the number again on that? How many missing? They don't know where they're at.
Children. And recently,
wow.
And, when that stuff started coming out, like, I think the woman.
And these bastards are getting appointed to positions of judges after that big of a fuck up.
Well, the lady that was in charge, I believe the CPS here in Missouri that was in charge of these kids or whatever, I think she just got her position she got knocked down a position. Like,
yeah, they just moved her down one. They demoted her. That's it. That's all she got. She didn't get fired. She didn't get
No, she
No,
got like she was like president got moved to vice president. I'm not sure. I didn't pay attention to like
a
where.
thousand kids, you guys. Does that sound like justice to you? This
No,
person who was supposed to be managing this whole thing on you know from that end, and they all only got demoted. Are you fucking kidding me? 1,000 kids, we don't know where they are. They're gone. They're missing. They're gone.
well,
Nobody knows who they are.
when right after this happened, one of the buildings that had like most of their records got set on fire.
How
Like
convenient.
the
How
whole
convenient.
building like burnt to the ground. With all those records.
How convenient.
Just to cover their
Destroying
ass.
evidence too, huh? Oh, when
Yeah,
they fall, they're gonna fall hard, and they're never gonna get back up. They're
well,
gonna
and
be
they're so
finished,
blatant.
finito.
They're so blatant in the family court here in St. Louis that
They're leaving a paper
they
trail
don't
of
care.
freaking 1,000 miles long with how sloppy they're being, you guys.
But yet nothing's being done. Still,
Why is that? Why is nothing being done? Why is nobody? What the fuck? Where are all the freaking prosecutors that are actually supposed to hold those in power, in positions of power, accountable when they are fucking when they're breaking the law?
They're all colluding together. It's the whole damn system
It is.
from the
It
bottom
really
to
is.
the top.
That's the only thing that makes any sense if it's the whole fucking thing. And it's not only just at the local level, we're seeing it on the federal fucking level too. Which really pisses me off because it just tells me that the whole fucking thing's been corrupt. All up and down the line. All the three-letter agencies, if you ask me.
Well,
I don't
like
see no accountability here, and I'm getting fucking sick and tired of waiting.
well, like you said, when people are traumatized like this, they can't learn. So, you don't have anybody that, you have to teach. Like all the parents that are going through this that get to a certain point figure
Yeah.
out that they have to learn law themselves, and that's the only way that anything's going to happen for them in, a positive way, if they can even make it happen. So you have these parents that have to learn all this stuff, but they're in such a state of trauma that they hardly can retain. So, they're struggling through it because you have to become a damn lawyer.
You
Basically.
literally do. You
Yeah.
literally do, because you're not going to get any justice from these bastards.
No, and you have to teach yourself all this stuff, but they're not playing fair, So
I mean, they're making these folks go through all these hoops. Meanwhile, they're sitting there breaking the law blatantly on the record, mind you, but nobody's doing anything. They're allowed to get away with it. But yet, when you do anything even remotely like that, they fucking come at you with a freaking hammer. Like there ain't no, like, you're like, they're, they come down on you hard, basically.
Well, for my instance, they don't let me file anything. That
It's
makes
such a double standard. It's such
it
bullshit.
even harder when you can't get anything filed on your cases, and you want to move in law in a certain way, and they will stop you every way that you can. They'll take everything.
Yeah, it's really sick, you guys, and they use really fucking low life tactics too, like making it so they can't file if they have a representation like a public defender or even a lawyer. Like, they make it so that the only way you can file is if you get rid of your lawyer. Like, that was what they were doing to her to prevent her from filing. That was their excuse. And then they would slow play getting her, her lawyer off her case, or her, it would always be something. But I've seen the paper trail, I've seen the evidence, I've seen it.
Well,
they've always given her, it's always been the same consistent pattern with this.
When Judge Zellweger recused herself, it took them 4 months to get me a new judge and a new court hearing. And then the day of that court hearing, that judge recused himself. So, like, we didn't even have court. He just recused. He let the guardian ad litem off the case at the time. So now I sat with several months with no guardian ad litem, no judge, no way to
no justice, no nothing.
And I didn't know where my daughter was at the time. So I'm asking the court for proof of life this whole entire time, and they're not giving it to me, so nobody will tell me where she is, if she's okay. They won't, have her call me, nothing. And then I have to wait. And, that trial from the day that my daughter was taken in February, that trial for that continuance from that day was over a year later. It was in March of the following year by the time we really got in front of a judge.
That's such bullshit. That's such a crock of shit.
Or no, it was November. So it was almost a year later that the first court hearing went. And that's when she appeared and, testified against me, said she didn't want anything to do with me.
Yeah, they fucking brainwashed her in that damn freaking in that damn labor camp school they got her at.
Yeah, and a place I don't even know how long she was in.
And and not only that, but like, what do you think happens? Because I don't know if any of our viewers have heard the recording, but you know the one I'm talking about, where she's begging the judge not to send her with her father, saying, please don't, he molested me. And the judge told her, if you don't go with your father, I'm going to put your mother in jail, so you'll have to go with your father. Okay. And so they basically told her that her voice doesn't matter, and that so the only way she can survive is to shut up and fake it to make it, so to speak.
Like he said in the video, you got to.
So, and like it's a complete 100 total 180 from the way she was acting in that court, to that first one a year later to the original when the judge ignored her. Like, it's a total 180, just completely out of character. It seems like she's doing what she's told, or doing what out of fear or conditioning, or even just to survive.
I think sometimes and
it ain't right.
Go into a mindset of just survival.
Yeah.
They know what person, what kid, because my daughter's a little older, she just turned 16. She just had her sweet 16 this week. What 15-year-old gonna keep pressing an issue when she's isolated with this person, and there's nobody. She's they've been isolated. They get isolated from their entire family, not just their parent, but siblings and cousins and aunts, uncles, grandparents. I mean, the whole family gets cut out. All her friends, they just get cut off.
Yep.
So what kid's going to keep pushing an issue like that when they spoke up, in court to a judge and was basically told to shut up and sit down?
Right.
We don't have no evidence of that. That's why she was like, I am your evidence. Like,
yeah, it's like freaking, and she didn't listen. She just ignored her completely.
No.
Like, what person in their right mind would ignore the cries of a child claiming child molestation and send them with the molester that they're claiming is molesting them? What person in their right fucking mind would ever fucking not listen to a child? I don't care if you're a judge or not. If you're not fucking paying attention and listening when some kid is crying out, you're fucking complicit in fucking perpetrating fucking this kind of fucking abuse.
But she still wouldn't go. She was still defiant enough to not go, that they ended up putting her in the mental hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So, because she wouldn't go, and the juvenile wouldn't take her, so they put her in a mental hospital. And then the hospital worked with the courts,
colluded. Really, they didn't work. They colluded
to traffic my daughter. It's the hospital that released her to a third party against my wishes and her desires. They didn't have my permission. She didn't want to go, but it was the hospital that made that happen.
Yep.
With the help of the courts backing them.
Who was she released to again?
David Judy, her uncle.
And who is he again?
Her dad.
Registered what?
No, the grandfather is.
The grandfather is.
Yeah, level 3 registered sex offender. He's got a trail for sexual offenses from here to California.
I like to say, if the grandfather's doing it, the apple doesn't fall far from the fucking tree. So,
and it like looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, whatever.
Walks like a duck, probably a freaking duck.
Yeah. Yep. And it just doesn't make sense for Judy to get on the stand and basically say, yeah, I knew it was a child trafficking facility, but it fit my needs and at the time for what I was
basically admitted that in the court here, and they still freaking took her daughter.
And
they still took her daughter.
Yeah, took my custody, like gave him sole, physical, legal custody, and did not give me so much as a phone call with her. They wanted to do some therapeutic reunification that I'm not doing. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not. That's
what was the odds of finding? What was they said there was how many of those specific specialists that was licensed in both states?
The whole United States that could see Delilah and I for this reason.
And they keep telling her, "Oh, get this counseling, but yet the only one that's available doesn't even have an appointment available for how long?
A month or two. Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
so like
they set it up where you can't. They say, we're going to do this for you. This is what's going to happen.
right. They make it impossible to get the task done that they're trying to jump the hoops they're making you jump through. They make it impossible to get it done in the amount of time that they're trying to force you to get it done in. But they do that intentionally, people. It's not by accident. It's not just a coincidence that there's only one in the whole freaking country. Come on.
Yeah, no, that's, yeah. And then, I got a bill from the GAL for like $12,000 the other day. So they traffic my kid and then want me to pay for it. You want me to pay them for trafficking my child. It makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense. No. I'm just going to go off camera to have a smoke real quick. Try not to do it on camera. Anyways.
So, people out there, you guys aren't alone. Like, this week was really rough. I know what you guys are going through. I know it's really hard. We just need to pull together. We really need to pull together in this for ourselves and our children. I mean, really, if you think about it, we got the lucky end of the deal. I mean, these kids are going through hell.
They're the ones who are really suffering right now. Like I can only imagine what they're going through. No wonder like their minds are going right to fight or flight. I mean, that video pretty much said it all. About the theta waves.
Then you have, higher rates of teen suicide, like murders. I mean, it's not, nothing about the family court is about family. It is strictly about destroying family. And, as long as we allow them to do whatever they're doing, they're going to keep doing. You can't let them in, or you can't really even talk to them or let them in, because as soon as you do, you have contracted with them without even knowing it. So you don't want to contract with them, so you can't sign anything. You can't let them in your house. You just don't deal with them. That's my best.
That's the only thing you can do.
I'm talking about CPS on that end. You don't deal with them, because CPS, they're getting ready to come for our kids. Really, it's going to get really bad here real soon, real quick. Like, if we think it's bad now, just wait a few more months, and
they're only going to come at it harder and harder, dude. If they're doing what they're doing now, they're not going to stop. They're going to double down, you guys, because they got nothing to lose. Because they know. Why do you think they're coming after Angie so fucking hard? Because she's got all the evidence to fucking blow their whole fucking thing out the water, and like they said in the Zoom video, bring the whole system down. They're the linchpin, you guys. Why would they be going this far otherwise? Come on.
They have gone really
They've
far.
gone to very extreme lengths to go after her and silence her, when there's clearly no case with what they're trying to claim about the threats at all. There's no valid claim. She merely demanded legal and accountability as far as immunity goes for that judge. Because what she did was wrong, illegal, and just unconscionable.
Well, they've pushed. They've filed for a continuance again.
Oh yeah, of course they have. It's convenient for them.
Yeah, the prosecuting attorney filed for another, this is the first time they filed for a continuance. It's been the judge every other time, but yeah, they've actually filed for a continuance. So, this has been weighing over my head for over a year now. It's really stressful, and what stress just kills. It's not healthy. The court system is not healthy. It's been the worst thing that's ever happened to me, is being brought into the courts.
It's a fucking stressful thing.
All the way around, they have done nothing good in my life for me or anything, and they want to stay in there. They're like a bad habit or a bad relationship, and they are the abuser. The only thing you can do, because they are the abuser, you can only cut them off, stop talking to them. We have to treat the courts like an abuser, because that's what they are, and they need to be cut off.
Right. You want to come back on camera for a sec?
1 second.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know what we're gonna do, but we need to do something more than what we're doing.
Yeah, what we're doing now isn't effective enough. We need far more. We need people. Okay, we need an army out of our audience, and we need to start engaging their participation. I want to do something. I want to try something on this Sunday show And I think I want this may be a feasible tactic, but we need everybody's participation in it. And I want us to, our viewers to start calling in some of these places like the DA's office or whoever's responsible for mismanaging these cases. And this may be specific to each case, but we need to start calling in mass and demanding accountability and flooding their freaking phone lines. Mass call-ins if we have to.
Actually, is just start flooding in massive physically to our
and that too.
To our courthouses is what we need to do. Like
that too.
Calling these people, it's past that, I think.
I think so too, but it's a start. It's definitely a start. It'll help get our audience engaged, I think, and help everybody become an active participant in helping to stop this. But we really could use everybody's help. We need as many people as we can get. The more, the better. If we don't have as many people, it's not going to be as effective. Think of it like a mass protest. If you block the entrance to a place, right? Okay, think of it like that. But on a digital scale, as far as the phone lines, flood their phone lines so they can't get any fucking work done until they they don't have a choice but to fucking deal with it and fix it.
Well, have you seen the uprising in all these countries where, I mean, just
yeah, I've been watching a couple of them over the last week or so that I've seen on the news.
I've just seen
people are fed the fuck up.
But I think
tired.
Like 11 countries flooding to their streets, demanding human rights, basically.
Yep. And we're about to be right behind them. We got to be.
Well, if
we need to be
surviving, yeah. It's time. Like, it's really just time for that to happen, because these systems have to go down.
These systems don't serve us anymore at all. No. At all.
No, they all have to be taken down, like ended and rebuilt to something.
We have to build something new or something different, because this is fucking ridiculous. You can't get, reform, or, people want to talk about, reform. Oh, look, we passed this bill and this bill, I'm sorry, but that shit takes too fucking long. Meanwhile, you got freaking corrupt politicians, corrupt officials, corrupt people in positions of power that are freaking acting illegally and unlawfully, but they've got enough to pay the whole freaking dude. It's sick, and it's very obvious to the masses of us. I'm sure a lot more people see it even those that are willing to speak up about it, because people are pissed off, and I see it in the comments, and I see it in people waking up every day. We just need to stop expecting someone else to come save us, and we need to come together and fight this and demand accountability on all fronts. All fronts.
I'll be damned if my daughter's going to go through this and lose her kid or kids, children, whatever, when, she becomes a mom and the government comes in and takes her kids. I'm damned if I allow that to happen.
Yeah, we cannot allow that to happen. We must not allow that to happen. If we were to allow that to happen, we would be failing in our mission.
Well, I've semi-failed. They got my kid. I didn't know.
But you don't know. I mean, like, we'd be failing in our obligation, our duty as people of Earth, citizens of Earth, to fight, stand up for these kids. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be your kid. It could be anybody's kid. But everybody, if they're gonna come for her kid like that, they're gonna come for your kids next. They're gonna come for all of our kids. They're not gonna stop, because their motivation is money and greed, and not justice, or not the benefit or the well-being of these kids. It's greed. It's freaking money. They're corrupt. They fucking are taking the money.
Half the time the orders aren't even lawful. Like the one when they came to try to take my daughter, it wasn't even lawful. Like, they couldn't take her. So they don't care. They
don't give a shit. They're not following the law at all. They're breaking the law.
No, they don't fucking care. It is not about the best interest of the child. And, a lot of people know this, but there's a lot of people out there that don't. And, and there's so many people that it doesn't affect them, so they don't really care. Well, that kind of mindset isn't working. Like, that has to be changed, because you should care. I mean, if they're not your children, they're your neighbors, your cousins, it's somebody,
Right. And it does. Now, regardless of whether you think it affects you or not, it does affect you. It affects all of us in one way, even in ways we don't realize, by being actively silent on this and not doing it in particular. Well, it doesn't affect me, so it's not my problem. We can no longer afford to have that attitude. We have to start standing up for each other as human beings, as fellow human beings that are going through this issue. You know, if we truly want to see change, we have to stop being apathetic. We have to start caring about what happens to all our kids, not just your own kids, but every other people's kids too. Like, you know, because it does affect us. If they can come after her kids, or the Bowles family's kids, or, you know, the Bailey family's kids, you know, the Vicky Bailey family, like they can come after any one of us, and they're going to. You can count on it. You can fucking count on it.
And yeah, 100% count on it. I know that there's
because they're doing it. Nobody's holding them accountable. They're just doing it and getting away with it, and they're going to keep doing it, and it's going to keep getting worse. Go ahead. Sorry.
No,
I didn't realize I was muted.
I know that there's a lot of parents out here already that I've met in the last year. You know, so I mean, and it's just growing, and more people are speaking out.
They are.
People weren't speaking out as much before, but this movement, you know, started moving along, and people started speaking out, which is really good.
It is good, but we need to get the ball rolling. We don't have much time. We gotta get there. We gotta stop. We need to do more. We need to do more.
Yeah. But that's, you know, I just wanted to get on and touch on all that stuff with.
I'm glad that we did, because I think it was important that people understand these concepts about, you know, the truth about parental alienation and how it affects these kids and what it does to them psychologically. So I think that was a great idea. I'm glad that you wanted to do that, and I'm glad I pushed you to do it, even though after we were 2 hours late, and you were like, "No, it's too late. It's too late." I'm like, "Oh, let's just get it done. I already put 2 hours in. Let's get it done. Come on, this is gonna be good." I was excited about the show because I knew we were gonna have a good one.
Yeah, but I just wanted people to like realize the connection with the mind, the subconscious mind, and the programming, and
yes,
the ability and what they're doing, and you know how, you know, basically how we're gonna have to fix it. We're gonna have to go into the subconscious mind and reprogram these children, and it's gonna take repetition.
And it's going to take not only repetition, it's going to take many years, you know, and they may never be fully healed from that trauma, because they're probably never going to be the same again. They're going to have to cope for the rest of their lives with that trauma, you guys. That never goes away.
Yeah. And, you know, it's really a shame too, that they do this kind of damage. I mean, that's one thing that really has bothered me a lot with it, is that I knew the damage they were doing to her.
And they did too. They know too damn well what they're freaking doing. It's obvious through the way they tried to come after you, freaking, and silence you, the way they came after you so hard when you freaking exposed them.
Yeah, well, they're still trying to come after me.
They still are, because they know that if they don't, that you're gonna blow the lid right. But you know what they don't realize is they're just ensuring their own downfall. I have all this evidence, not only theirs, but the whole system in general.
Nobody to do anything. Like if you show it and you give it, but there's nobody to do anything. What does it matter to have all this evidence? And maybe that's just how they look at it.
Because they're just ignoring it anyways. They're just pretending like it's not even there, and then going along as if their narrative is the only evidence. Like they're ignoring evidence, you guys. They're ignoring the evidence of the families of the victims whose kids are taken from them. And only presenting the evidence that the parents that are getting the kids, that they're putting them in the hands of, are presenting, which is a lot of the time is full of holes and full of fraud, and they're just doing it, and they're getting away with it, and nobody's doing anything about it. And these courts, they're just doing it. They're freaking straight racketeering, and they're not even hiding it. They don't even give a shit.
That's because we're allowing it. The Missourians aren't making them be held accountable. I mean, you don't hear the mass cry of people demanding that these GALs and these judges be held responsible for their actions. The demand's not there.
Why is the demand not there? What is it? Is it that we don't have people speaking out, or is it that there are people in positions of power to do anything aren't doing anything because they're complicit?
I don't know if they're too afraid, if the corruption's so deep here. I don't know, but I mean, we should have outpours of people just demanding to know where those 1,000 children are missing, and all these families that already have come forward in the family court, you know, that justice be served, these kids be brought back. You know, like I'm not the only case where, you know, the child has been sent off to one of these facilities. and they don't know where their kid is. They haven't spoke to him in 10 months. I'm not the only case like that. There's another case with the girl, this around the same age as Delilah. I think maybe she was maybe a year younger, that was taken and put in one of these facilities at like the same time. It was like a month or two after Delilah was taken and all this happened to her. And the last time I spoke with that woman, she still didn't know where her child was, hadn't seen her or spoke with her. So
Oh, wow.
I'm not the only case like that in St. Louis County.
There's a bunch of them. There's a bunch out of Pennsylvania too, I believe. Like that one's got over 1,000 like that, doesn't it?
I don't know about Pennsylvania. I know that Florida's pretty bad.
No,
There's
that's getting there
quite a
too.
few
Yeah,
out of Florida. But it's all over the country. It's
it
just
is.
not
It's everywhere.
state, it's all over the country. And it's because we're complicit and we allow it. I mean, these people were so blatant in front of me that they were colluding the trafficking of my daughter right in front of me. Like right in front of me during court hearings.
Yeah, no, they were not even hiding it, you guys. They just, I mean, it's obvious. I mean, if you listen to the actual audio of some of these hearings and stuff, you'll be appalled at what they're doing and getting away with.
Yeah, and then like the GAL was working with the other side, and it was so blatant in my case during the trial. I mean, that it was like she was a middleman trying to wheel and deal a car with me. Like the GAL, she wasn't a neutral party in the
No,
trial.
she had a financial interest.
Well, yeah, but she wasn't a neutral party, that's for sure.
Definitely not a neutral party. You kidding me? Her loyalties to the court, just as the public defenders and the lawyers and everybody else that's complicit in this mock kangaroo court.
There is a clip that I've been wanting to play for people to hear, and I'm going to set this up. I'm going to tell you a little bit what it is. It's the hearing where they were negotiating my custody with me, and I was out in the hall and they bring me back in to talk about what we're going to do. Because they were trying to get my permission. They were trying to get me to give up my sole legal.
Do you have that right audio for us now to play?
Yeah, right here.
Perfect.
They were trying to get me to just willingly give up my custody, basically.
Go for it. Whenever you're ready, make sure to share your screen so we can hear it.
Well, it's just an audio.
I know, but it's not going to come through unless you share your screen properly.
Okay. All right. Give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the GAL and the opposing counsel and me and her dad talking with each other about the trial. Was it this one? Hold on, let me share my screen.
If we put in the agreement, custody will be as the parties agree, you don't think that's enforceable? I think.
No, I know it's not. But here's the thing. Whatever the judgment says,
we can hear it, I think.
Whatever
we can hear
they
it really
agree
good.
to. Nobody's monitoring this.
So if we put in place the Zoom visits every 2 weeks.
Yes.
That can happen or not, whatever you want. But
and if mom and dad, our family wizard, communicate, Delilah wants you.
My thing is, I want, if we're doing this because we're kind of doing it because we're letting Delilah have what she wants, I mean.
Well, I don't know that I agree with that statement. Maybe it is what she wants, but it also is what Father has proposed and believes her be in her best interest, and Mom is agreeable to do what it is that...
I just want to make sure James is open to this when Delilah is ready to see Mom and wants to see Mom, that's going to happen.
I've encouraged her to have that relationship with her mom. She's the one that I think has been pulling back in a sense. And I think Delilah just wants to set some boundaries. She wants to have her opinion heard and be respected. And, you know, and I know she is a minor, and her consideration is taken into place. But you know, we've come to a sense where we've been hitting the wall. You know, like, I don't feel like these boundaries have been set, and this is kind of why we're here today, you know, so.
So, Angela, what would you be comfortable doing? Just putting in,
Whatever Dee wants. I'm not here to fight, never was.
well, what she wants is just to communicate in writing.
Fine.
Um,
I told you all I had to do was set eyes on her and hear it from her.
Okay. And so, what Dad has proposed is a little bit more than writing, and that would give you, you know, an option to do the Zoom calls. But I think, you know, of course, I've got in my, and I think it's in your provision too, that if they want.
Are we talking about 50-50 custody again, right?
No.
Well, then
50.
he's got sole legal and physical custody at this point. I don't agree to that.
Okay, so you still want to have joint legal, but you're okay
I want
with-
my rights to my daughter, yes, but if she doesn't want to speak to me, then she don't want to speak to me.
But let me just let you know how I feel about that. I get that. I'm a big proponent of we need joint legal. My concern is it's going to be hard for you to make decisions.
I don't care. It don't matter. None of that matters. I want my 50-50, my rights, my 50% legal, physical, and all of it. I want my rights. There was no reason for them to be taken from me.
I would suggest that we can try that issue and agree to the physical custody issue.
If the judge would do it
Consent
piecemeal.
to that. Why wouldn't we if we're going to do it? So we can settle the physical custody part and try the legal custody part.
Won't do that.
I'm not going to sit down and say I'm not taking my rights and just give them up.
Because we won't need Delilah to come in. You're not giving up your rights.
Then what's the fight for? Give me my 50. Give me my 50-50.
The reason someone has to is because in order to let them make a major decision.
Doesn't matter.
No, I disagree with that explanation if I could, respectfully. Sole legal means that the person with sole legal custody, and it's just a term. It's not.
Then why are we fighting over it?
Excuse me. It doesn't mean you're taking away anybody's rights. James, if awarded sole legal custody, would have to consult with Angela.
Yeah.
And take into consideration what it is that Mom thinks. He has to take that into consideration as a sole legal custodian. If they don't agree on something, instead of having to come back to court, a sole legal custodian, after having discussed and consulted with and taken into consideration the other parents' point of view, takes the final decision, does it?
And that is much more articulate than what I just said, but that is accurate. Anybody who has sole legal doesn't unilaterally get to make decisions. It still has to be jointly decided, but final decision would be made by the one with sole legal.
When I'm not giving up my 50% of my sole legal of anything. If it means nothing, I don't know why we would fight about it.
There is no 50%. It's not 50%. It's just joint together.
Okay, I'm not giving up my joint of anything.
Okay, but let's not be combative. Let's just talk this through and make sure that you and I understand what we're talking about here. Sole legal versus joint legal. The only difference is you don't have to come back to court if you don't agree. That's it. And why would somebody do that? So they don't have to come back to court. That's why. It's not giving up. It's not saying you don't matter. It's not saying you don't have a voice. You have all of that. It's just that if you guys reach a place where, no, I think this and you think that, and we've talked it through, we've consulted with others, we still don't agree, he makes the decision rather than having to come back to court. That's it.
I don't agree with that.
Okay.
If it wasn't worth having, he wouldn't be fighting for it.
Yeah, the problem is the cost to come in. It's just so expensive. And what has happened here has been very expensive. We're trying to.
Did you hear all the gaslighting they try to do and
Yep.
all the negotiating, my parenting custody, my rights, just negotiating?
Well, they were contradicting themselves
Mm-hmm.
all over the place.
Well, and they were lying to me because he had sole legal and physical custody for the last 10 months or so prior to that. And that is the whole reason I didn't know where my daughter's been.
Right. And they were trying to say, oh, well, he has to consult with you. Well, he's not.
He's not. And
he never was.
They said, nobody's watching these things, so it don't matter what the parenting plan says. If the parties, want to do something else, that's fine, because nobody's watching over these judgments until the child doesn't want to go back with the abuser. And then there's opportunity for money right there.
Yep.
And that's what they do. And I mean, that was them colluding and that was trafficking right there. That was a whole conversation of child trafficking.
Exactly what it was.
Exactly what it was. Yeah. And they wanted to take my right. They already had it decided that they were taking my rights from me. If you listen to the way they're talking. And because when I said, we're talking about, 50-50 again, right? Because we've always had 50-50 custody.
Right.
And they looked at me like I was crazy. I'm like, well, he's already got sole legal and sole physical. I don't agree to that.
Yep.
So, and then they said that they would give me 50% or 50, equal physical custody, but they didn't do that. They took that too. They gave me nothing.
Yeah, they didn't give her nothing. They totally freaking, oh dude, it's so fucking unjust. It's such a travesty and such a freaking such a miscarriage of justice is what I was trying to say.
They talked about how that the abuser will like call the step parent mom, or try to get the kids to call the step parent mom. I mean, this is how textbook it is and how on point they are about this stuff. Is he on the stand in court during trial told the court that my daughter that I haven't spoke with in over a year wanted to call his wife mom in court. So, I mean, this is textbook. Like, this is downright to the T of what they say, like what the conspiracy is that the crazy parent looks like, from it. It's my case is like just the textbook of all cases. Like you couldn't get any more textbook than that. That's
definitely
crazy. It's
I want to read a comment by one of our viewers. Aaron clearly says, any advice where I start knowing how this happened and how I can try to hold them accountable? I'm so ready to fight this in every way. And I just found out today that I had all these rights I was never aware.
Yeah. There's a lot of things people aren't aware of like that. It took me a long time to realize that there was administrative court and that was different. And that, basically they were getting us on these contracts. You got to take your permission away. Like, don't give them jurisdiction. You retract anything. You want to get out from their jurisdiction is what you want to do. And that's hard to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. They make it almost impossible to do.
Right. And then like in my case, they've kept me so busy between the custody case and the criminal case. And I've had to become this lawyer. You don't make deadline. It's really hard. They make it impossible. There's all kinds of things you can do and file. Like you can strike the GAL, you can file to go into a federal court. You can get with people in your community that's going through the same thing and file a RICO. Really what people need to do is start getting them out of these state courts and moving up the ladder with these cases and start going to the federal courts, I believe. Start making them accountable is one thing. It's yeah.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. I
Oh,
said,
what'd you
I
say?
said, yeah, hopefully yeah, but like, I mean, I mean, I'm at this point, I'm like, with what I'm seeing with all these, this other corruption going on other fronts and seeing how it's during, these three-letter agencies, I'm not going to, well, yeah, fuck it, I will. DOJ, FBI are just turning a blind eye, and probably all the rest too. I mean, but those two I know for sure are turning a blind eye and doing some really fucking illegal shit. They're not freaking, they're not following the law. They're picking and choosing. They're standing down basically, and they're ignoring, they're not going after this because they've been told not to. Okay, that's what people need to realize. Okay, now granted, there are some good people in those agencies, yeah, but the people at the top that are running they're calling the shots. They're the ones that are ultimately complicit and standing down and not holding their and not doing their due diligence and following the law. They're not supposed to be able to pick and choose like that. They're our elected leaders. They're supposed to be representing us and holding criminals accountable, but they're ignoring the criminals that are perpetrating all these different frauds on the medical front, on the family court front, and even on the political front.
Well, and they're doing it for kickbacks.
Exactly.
Dirty money like bribes, kickbacks, government funding, a lot of government funding. They get a lot of money that way.
You know what would completely cripple the whole shebang of all this corruption of the deep state? If the fiat currency no longer existed, it would pull the rug right out from under them.
Yeah.
And I believe that's what we're witnessing right now with our economy. I think this is a controlled collapse, part of a strategic plan. It certainly looks that way to me. But you got to remember, this is a plan that's probably being played out over several years' time. So you got to look at it from the long game.
Well, I've been dealing with the courts for going on 4 years.
Right. But I mean, I was talking about as far as the whole, because like with the way our economy is going right now, I mean, it's certainly to me looks like this is intentionally being done.
It is intentionally being done.
At least the whole collapsing of the currency, like the whole where our freaking economy is going, they're doing this on purpose. Somebody is. Well, I can't figure out is it the the good guys forcing the bad guys' hand to do this, or is it the bad guys doing this because they want to fuck shit up for us? That's the only question I can't decide on what's the case. But it's one or the other, and either way, it'll something good will come out of it, like the collapse of the old system, and at least it'll give us a place to create something new and that's better and not so corruptible.
Yeah. We got to hold them accountable. There's a lot of fraud on the court, a lot of case fixing.
Accountability is key. If we don't ever get accountability, we can just kiss our freedoms goodbye.
Well, people, if you don't exercise your rights, you don't have rights.
Exactly.
You have to know your rights and exercise them to maintain them.
Yep. You got to light a fire under their ass every single time.
A lot of people don't know what their rights are.
That's true.
A lot of
people need to be aware of their rights. That's very true.
Courts, and that they use trickery to get jurisdiction over you. Like that's how they got my daughter into the court. They tricked me tricked and under duress to give a consent order. To agree upon a consent order. So, they wouldn't have gotten that permission from me. They wouldn't have, I wouldn't have been forced into the courtroom the day they took her.
Right.
So that was where I messed up, was I consented to a consent order, unknowingly consenting to basically have my child trafficked. And I didn't know it, but they trick people.
They do. They use terminology that's confusing and contradictory to trick people into fucking. And they fearmonger them. They make them think that, they're gonna, dude, get the fuck out of here. They're gaslighting the shit out of these parents.
Yeah, well, they are. You heard them trying to gaslight me in that audio.
Yep.
Oh, it's well, and then when I said to that I don't care, so why is he fighting for it? And she's like, well, let's not get hostile here. Like,
whoa, how is that hostile? Like, you're asking a legitimate question and she wants to paint it as if you're being belligerent.
Since I wasn't agreeing with them, they wanted to instantly make me look or, give the perception of me being aggressive.
Right. Because that's what a narcissist does. They avoid accountability for their actions by projecting the blame on everybody else.
And, parents just give up their legal rights all the time so they don't have to come back to court.
Yeah, and that's like,
I was really going to believe that load of crap.
right.
I don't care, because it gets so expensive. I don't care. I don't spend money to come back to court anymore.
Right.
I don't hire lawyers. I don't do all that. I didn't, I told the judge that I didn't need the GAL, that I wasn't contracting with the GAL. I don't know. How do they force you into a contract with somebody for fees?
Right.
James is the one that had us in court, not me. I don't understand how a civil judge like that can make you put a judgment on you.
Tell our viewers briefly for a second, just what 2 emails you got, or what things you just found out about they did on the 13th, just to like rub it in your face, as far as like, haha, we got you kind of deal. Like, they're doing that. You don't do that on, like, look, hey, it was her daughter's birthday.
They don't do anything. And then the 13th was my daughter's birthday. And on the 13th, I got a bill for $12,000, a little over $12,000 from the GAL, and the prosecuting attorney filed to continue the court trial, push it back on her birthday. Like, no motion, nothing, no movement, nothing.
So basically, they're forcing you to pay them to traffic your child.
Right. And
ain't that about a
because
bit?
I blew the whistle, they're trying to lock me up for it. They want to give me 7 years.
Yeah. And she didn't even make any, she just demanded judicial accountability, and that the immunity be not be granted for the judge, because what she did was unconscionable and illegal. At least it should have been.
Oh, it was. What she did.
But they're not following the law. They're ignoring the law. They're breaking the freaking law. And we got the proof, and still no accountability. What are we going to do about that? You guys, are we going to sit here and let somebody else, and say, well, it's not our problem? Or are we going to get mad and angry and rise up and fucking unite as people and put a stop to it? We got to stop being apathetic. Period.
Yeah, it's, like when I was speaking to the GAL, she laughed at me, telling me that, I have a child that doesn't even want to see her mother, and she's laughing as she says this to me.
Wow, that's insidious.
She just used so much of this nasty tone and towards me, like, well, Angela, like, no, I don't know. Like, why don't you tell me? Because I didn't know there was an issue between my daughter and I.
Right.
There wasn't one when she was taken.
Right.
And this is what they do. And then they want to put them in these reunification camps, and they don't do anything.
Except put your kid through more trauma.
It's definitely more trauma. Nobody heals. It's just a moneymaker, because they don't do anything that's going to better anything. They are just making things worse.
They basically are forcing these kids to do physical labor.
Yeah.
And calling it therapy or calling it help.
Well, like my daughter told me when I did see her in that court hearing, she said that, she didn't want anything to do with me, because I would take her back to the place she was before, and that she worked so hard on the relationship with her dad that she don't want to be make it damage what they've worked on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if she had a relationship with me, that would damage the relationship that they've worked so hard to rebuild, because he damaged their relationship.
He did. He basically gave her an ultimatum without giving it.
Typical scenario of these narcissistic parents alienating and erasing the other parent out of the child's life. This is textbook.
Yep.
And she was like, I don't want anything to do with you until you go get fixed. So they've convinced her that I have issues, that I'm gonna hurt her, or I'm a harm or dangerous to be around. Textbook.
Yep. Exactly.
Exactly
what they've done.
Raising her all her life, up until them trafficking her. She's always lived with me. I've always taken care of her. I've been the one that was raising my child. But this story is not unique, and that's what's so sad about it. It's not unique.
Oh, can I share a story? I want to briefly mention, like, when I was on the plane ride back from my trip to go see my fiance, they had it was funny because I never notice any of this. They didn't like boast about it on my last trip when I went to DC, at least not on that flight, but it was a little short video about that they talk about, Delta was talking about, they train their staff to look for the signs of human trafficking. And it was a short video, and it was like this kid and his uncle, supposedly his uncle, right next to him, and then the camera view is the person behind him. So you're like, so he's turning it around. He's like, hey, this guy, he's not really my uncle. But I'm not supposed to tell you. And then he's basically, is saying, telling him the story, like, I hope this next place that you're taking me is better. But he's basically confiding in the kid, but behind him in the commercial. But yeah, they use those kind of tactics. They keep the kid in fear, and it's like they're afraid to speak or even do anything outside of what the nurse, the abusing parent was wanting to do. Like they're it's it's fucking psychological and physical, and it's fear based. They're conditioned. It's like, come on, it's textbook, you guys. It's not. It's pretty freaking obvious. You can't. It just makes me so angry that nobody's fucking doing anything about it, and that these bastards are getting away with it because they're doing this to kids, and they think that that's okay. Are you fucking kidding me? No.
What makes it so hard is when the parent fights, the parent that's being erased, when they fight, they get hard, they make it harder for them. And then, they're fighting alone most of the time. That's everybody against the one person, and they star chamber. No, they don't allow anybody in these family court hearings. And those are star chambers where it's just you being persecuted by everybody in the room. That is a star chamber. So family court automatically star chambers everybody.
Yep.
In St. Louis County, it's common for the parent to sit in the hallway while they conduct court in the courtroom or the judge's chambers and decide your fate, you and your child's fate, without you even being present.
See, that's completely a violation of any kind of due process. Like, I'm surprised they're even getting away with it. They're doing it like left and right. It's really insidious.
I have footage of it. I have footage of me sitting outside in the hallway while they were all talking about trafficking my daughter. And I was, because, they tried to get her a year prior, and I didn't let them take her. I fought them on that, and it took them a year to actually take her. And, I couldn't stop it, but I slowed it down by a year. Because they wanted her the February before. They were threatening me in the back of the courtroom about taking her. My own attorney was. My second attorney I had was threatening me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's horrible. Like, what the fuck? Like, who? Like her own attorney threatening her?
Yeah.
Your attorney doesn't do that unless they're trying to coerce you.
You're going to jail. Where's she at? Yeah, that's what they were doing. And a friend of mine, I was talking on the phone right before I went in, and he's like, "Is anybody with you?" And I'm like, "No." I was like, "And there's nobody in the courtroom." Because I was always the last one in the courtroom, always last to be heard, never on the docket. That's one thing, like, I can't stress that enough, because those are the cases that they're not trying to let the public know about.
Right.
The ones that don't show up on the docket. And he was like, "Don't go in there." And at the time I didn't understand what he was talking about. But yeah, he meant it, because I was alone. They thought they could just do whatever they wanted because there was no witness.
Who told you not to go in there?
A friend of mine.
Okay.
That I was talking to, because I was like, "Man, I'm at court. I'm here by myself. I don't like this I don't like it." Like, the feeling was just off. The energy was weird, and I didn't like it. And he's like, "Don't go in that courtroom." He told me to pull anybody out of the hallway to go in there with me. If you see, just grab somebody in the hallway and say, "Can you please just stand in court with me right now?" But there was nobody around. There was nobody to grab.
Oh, wow.
But he wanted me to just grab anybody because what happened basically, that they were up to no good, and they were trying to take her. They told me to I was going to go to jail basically, and that they were going to go get my kid, and that she was going to go live with her dad, and they were going to take her from me until I complied to their court order. And it was because they wanted to take a drug test, and there was no reason for it.
Right.
A $300 drug test they wanted me to take for nothing, for no reason, because of nothing. He said so.
Yeah, based on word of mouth, what he had. Yeah, it's funny because, like, it's just such a miscarriage of justice. Obvious that they're colluding with him.
Well, the fact is that him and I don't even live in the same state. Is way far-fetched of hearsay, because we don't even live in the same state. How does he know what the hell I'm doing?
Right, exactly. Doesn't make any sense.
No, he has no clue what goes on in my life. He had no clue whatsoever what went on here. But yet now this last trial, when they finally took her, they made all kinds of allegations against me, but didn't have one piece of evidence. They didn't offer one exhibit. They didn't have one witness. They had nobody testify to anything. And his lawyer didn't question me or any of my witnesses in the last trial, because it's, you know, it was already written.
It's already written from the get-go because they knew.
They didn't have to go through all of that, even though I proved child trafficking in court, that they were trafficked my daughter that day in court. And then I tried to subpoena the opposing counsel. I tried to subpoena his attorney onto the stand because she's the only one that would have the firsthand knowledge of that TRO that was unlawful that took my daughter. She's the one that ordered it. She's the one that sent it to the police. She's the only one that could have. And when I tried to subpoena her and put her on the stand, the judge stopped me. I don't know what you're trying to do, Miss Freiner. Yes, you do. You know exactly what I'm doing here. And I proved all kinds of perjury with him on the stand with evidence, solid evidence, and they ignored it.
Yeah, I mean, I heard the audio. He practically admitted to say, he basically practically said, for all intents and purposes, that it was more, you know, he thought it was for her. What was the wording he used? Because he basically admitted he acknowledged that he was trafficking her in not so many words, but you know, like
it was what he needed for the time. It was perfect or something like that for what he was doing at the time.
Right, and so and this is after, like, I mean, he must have been aware of that these claims against this place. Well, I mean, he sure as hell sounded like, in the way he said it, it sounded like he was what he needed for the time. Yeah, he had sounded like his tone sounded to me like he already knew what he was doing, and he just was like, he was just being honest there about it. But you know, his full intent on that was like more, he already knew at the time what he was doing.
Oh, yeah,
he definitely knows what he's doing. But they didn't even think about, like, did they completely, I mean, obviously, if anybody in a criminal court would have heard that, it's like, oh shit, you know, you just incriminated yourself. But no, they completely ignored it. Right? They completely ignored it.
Well, the judge got aggravated with me because I wanted him to say that he knew prior to sending her to that facility that he knew about the lawsuit against them for child laboring and trafficking. And I was trying to get him to say that for the record, and the judge was getting kind of mad about it.
Of course, he was, because he knew what you were doing. He would have, their whole thing would have fallen apart.
Well, but it didn't. See, like, that wasn't.
No, it didn't. It didn't. You're right.
You know,
but he was aggravated that you were trying to push it to that level that they had to do more work to cover it up.
You should have seen their reaction when I tried to subpoena the lawyer on the stand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they were like, you know, like, I'm crazy. No, I'm not crazy. They didn't think I would have such a calculated plan of action, because you know, he couldn't define child trafficking for me, and when I asked him what child trafficking was, he couldn't tell me. And then I asked him about how much money he paid his lawyer, and he told me $50,000. And my following question to him was, well, if you don't know what child trafficking is, then how do you know you've never been a participant of it? If you can't even define it, and you just spent $50,000 to a person that moved your child from one place to another against her will. But you know, that is child trafficking, right?
It is.
Plain and simple. There's no other way to cut it.
When they're all colluding and they're not, and they're depriving the other parent or one of the parents of due process in this manner, it is highly illegal. It is highly racketeering. It is highly criminal. And not only that, it's, in my book, they should all be put to death for complicity in this, because they said the damage they're doing to future generations is irreversible, and you can never undo that. They deserve to be freaking have bad karma forever, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely, they should be held accountable for it. Definitely,
because that's like what they're, you know, just by doing what they're doing, they're putting these kids in the hands of freaking, you don't think that a lot of these parents might be involved in sex trafficking, like in some cases, whether they realize it or not, it's happening, and that's on them. But they're complicit, and they're just letting it happen. So thereby they are guilty by allowing this kind of criminal, racketeering to go on. So that's on their heads. That blood is on their hands.
Yeah. Well, and there's people that are being trafficked that don't even realize they're being trafficked. So
True.
There's definitely people that are trafficking that don't realize, because they're so manipulated and gaslit and brainwashed that they can't see straight, and it happens. It definitely happens to people. That's for sure.
Definitely.
Crazy.
It does. Well, hey, we had a good 2-hour show.
Okay.
That was a good show. It was a good show. We did a good one today. Good spur of the moment live. It was good. It's good.
Yeah, I just was feeling, some certain ways and just thinking about stuff. And, I just felt the need to come on and,
Yep. No, it's important. It's important that we talk about these things. Like when you had the idea and you told me about it, I was like, all right, cool, let's do it. So I was wanting to do it because I think it's important that we get this message out regardless of the time, because people are going to watch it after the live too, and it does get out there.
Right.
And it's important that we have this on the record in some form or fashion. So because this is going to be here for all time. It's on the internet. We've got copies ourselves. The internet's got, this is there. It's not going to get erased. This is going to be a historical archive, if you will, for all time, for people to look in future generations to reference for how we fought back and how we took back our freaking planet.
Right. That's basically, it comes down to taking back control.
And so that's why, for me, I think it's important that we get this message out there, and then there'll be a record of it. And so instead of just it doesn't matter, just get it out, get it so it's there, so that it's out there and people can start absorbing it and learning from it, and it's that's why I don't like to hesitate when I have an idea for something or when I want to do, if we when we got started and then you were like, oh, it's too late. I'm like, oh no, let's not lose traction now. Let's just get it done. Because I knew we were going to have a good show. I could feel it. Because we had a good solid amount of viewers all the way through. So.
Well, I hope people gain something from, especially the Bruce Lipton video. I hope some people really gain some kind of awareness from that,
Right. Because there's a lot more truth in that than most people realize if you pay attention.
Yeah. And, it's really helpful kind of information too.
Yes.
Staying conscious will help you stay in a spot where it doesn't get too dark for you.
Exactly. And that means being mindful is what, the same difference, you guys.
Yes.
All right, shall we wrap it up? Oh, you want to play that last
way out? We can just do
yeah, go for it.
All right, well, have a good night, guys.
You should just share your screen and then we'll play that out and